Welcome to the JavaScript for Pentesters course on Pentester Academy. Now in this video, we will look at the solution to task 4, which was modifying form fields. So let's jump right in. Now we can inject our JavaScript using the URL parameter which gets reflected on this page. And what we need to do is add a new form field which would take the ATM pin as well. So let's view page source. Let's look at the form. Okay, here it is. Now if we scan on the page, this is really the only form which is there. And to get the ATM pin, we would need to basically add another input field of type text, where of course the class would remain the same, just so that the look and feel matches that of the existing form. So you would have input block level, and the placeholder, which clearly is this little text in here, would say ATM pin, and we can name the field ATM pin as well. Now the challenge here is really to create a new input element, right, which we can then concatenate basically to this existing form, and at this location, which is this new element, becomes the first form field as per the challenge requirement. Okay, so this would require digging into a little bit of JavaScript, which the good news is I've already done for you. The first step is really creating a new element. So let's call this var input, and we can create a new element in JavaScript by calling create element, and then after that we give the element type, which is the input. Now we need to add different attributes to this input field. Now those attributes of course are pretty much it's of type text. Basically the class is blah blah blah, the placeholder is this, and all of that, right? So let's do that. Now in JavaScript you can set attributes by using the set attribute method, and here we go. So let me first copy this out a couple of times because we're going to reuse this. And now let me fill it up. Now the first attribute of course is going to be type, which is text. The second attribute of course is the class we want to apply, which is the styling. And the class is something we can pick up from here itself, which is input block level. And after that we basically have the placeholder, so I can put in here, remove this comma, basically say ATM pin, and then finally the name. So I can put in name in here, and name, let's call it ATM pin. All of this needs to be inside brackets. So what we're going to do, there we go, right? So what we've done is we've created a new input element and we've added 4 attributes to it. Hopefully all my spellings and casing is correct, or else it's going to give us some errors. The attributes we've added is type, class, placeholder, and name. Fantastic. So now we've created the element, we've added all these attributes. So the next step of course is to add this element at the appropriate place. So what we would want is we want to add it before this text element, right above here. So the first thing we need to do is then figure out the exact kind of location of this and get a handle to it with which we can basically say that, hey, insert this new input element before this input element, right? Now let's get a handle. So var previous. This would become the previous after this element is added. Is basically document form 0 elements 0, right? Now if you remember, form 0 elements 0 would actually give you this specific input type. And now what we really want is to add our new element before that. So this is accomplished by doing an insert before, right? It's an important method, and input is what we've created and previous is before which we want to add it. Fantastic. Now after this, all we have to do is ensure that the form action points to our server. So I can do a document form 0 action equals, and then basically give our server address. There we go. Okay, so there's a lot of code in here. Let me quickly check to ensure there aren't any typos. So where input is document.create element, blah blah blah, input.set attribute type text class blah 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 placeholder. And then after that, we figure out the element above which or before which we want to add it in the form. So that is where previous document form 0 element 0, and then we do an insert before that. Looks okay to me. And action equals, okay, looks fine. Let's copy this out. Let's go in here, encode this, copy it, go back in here, paste it. Fantastic. And if you notice, we have a new ATM pin field which has appeared in the form. The styling is just perfect, indistinguishable, right, as you can clearly see. Now to figure out if this is actually running, let's run our server on port 9000 so we can receive the request, which is where we're kind of sending it. And now let me put in my ATM pin, my email, my password, click on sign in, and as you can see, this pretty much redirects to our server, which has received all of this input, right? Fantastic. So this is how one can go ahead, modify an existing form using JavaScript, and then ensure that the form action is also changed. So this should have been a very interesting exercise and a very important one as well, because what we've proven is with JavaScript, we can manipulate, modify elements, ensure that their styling remains exactly the same, indistinguishable from what the original web page probably was styled with, and then we can hijack form submissions, right? Fantastic. So that's all for this video, and if you're enjoying your time here at Pentester Academy, then we would really appreciate if you can recommend us to your friends and colleagues in the InfoSec community. Thank you.